Thank you, Senator Mineta. Senator Britt of Alabama is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here today and your willingness to testify before this committee. Mr. Wright, you have a strong background in working with families and communities that have suffered damage from flooding and severe weather. Since 2011, Alabama has led in building resiliencies into home construction. In Alabama, we have a state program that supports investments so that families can fortify their roofs against wind damage. That investment allows homeowners to get a discount on wind insurance. Yesterday, May 1st, 2023, Alabama celebrated 44,000 homes fortified. We certainly have seen success in our state. It is my understanding that you were able to join Commissioner Fowler and Deputy Commissioner Chapman to be able to see this firsthand. Can you speak to what you saw in the great state of Alabama and any lessons we can learn and take into the topic we're discussing today?
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator Britt. I was in Mobile and Dauphin last night before I made my way here. And what is striking about what has played out here is the lessons learned from Hurricane Ivan and others and the destruction that played out said that those coastal communities knew they needed to do something. And what Alabama did uniquely is find a way to make sure everyone knows what the risk is, to put incentives in place on the insurance place, to put building codes in place, and to put a grant program. The grant program in Alabama is fully funded by Alabama. They do not use federal dollars in that space. But when Hurricane Sally came and approached and hit that direct line straight on, what we were able to see is that they withstood the wind. They were not getting water intrusion in those spaces. These homes had a combination of wind insurance as well as flood insurance in that space. And so I think it's an example as we look at the broader flood elements that are here, we need to make sure that we're dealing with the entire ecosystem, have the right ways to make sure that we're not making the matter worse, because all new construction in southern Alabama meets those standards. We then nudge folks who have the ability to afford to do it because they get a price consideration. And for those who can't afford, there's a grant program to help them along the way.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to see the success firsthand. Yeah. I certainly believe many of the lessons that we've learned in Alabama and the changes that we've made could be applied to this space as well.
Agreed.
Given the scale and complexity of flood risk, it has been historically difficult to estimate and manage the damage and cost related to flooding. The level of damage we've seen from recent storms and related natural disasters, have even further emphasized the need for FEMA to pursue a framework that more accurately reflects risk and effectively manages the cost of flooding under the National Flood Insurance Program. This not only includes managing cost following a natural disaster, but also by promoting sound mitigation efforts in communities ahead of these events. What steps has FEMA taken, Mr. Wright, to help strengthen flood mitigation efforts in communities across our country and protect homeowners and lower the national flood risk?
Yeah, so I appreciate the elements that are there. So FEMA does a tremendous amount of work related to helping people understand the risk. The maps get criticized quite a bit, but I will tell you there is no other country on the planet that provides parcel-level risk analysis for a natural hazard like flood. It's the only place where it goes. And so we use that so that we can keep ourselves from repeating the problems and move the other side. And then address those that are not yet there. There's been talk here about Risk Rating 2.0, and while I'm 5 years removed from making those decisions, I did launch that program because there were up to 25% of the policyholders who were paying too much. They needed to have their price reduced, and others that had more risk. And so we've got to couple this place by which we do have insurance that is actuarially sound, that customers can count on, that we make investments at a neighborhood scale to reduce that risk and make sure that we don't make the problem worse.
Well, in your opinion, what more could FEMA be doing?
So FEMA could be making, so I think that FEMA needs to accelerate the actions that they have in place.
Okay.
Right, so I mentioned Cedars. It's in place. I think they're talking about it more than doing. They put Swift Current in place. I know that staff on both sides of the aisle worked very closely with that over the last 7 or 8 years. It's the right thought. It's lagging.
It's lagging. So the effectiveness is not there yet.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. My time has expired, but really appreciate you all being here today.
Thanks, Senator Britt. Senator Cortez Masto of Nevada is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.